Hello and welcome to your second stimulus check and stimulus package update. Today we have a fiery update on negotiations on a comprehensive stimulus bill. We also have a new smaller stimulus bill that has been introduced into the House, and we have some closure on a finance story that we covered a few weeks back. So let's jump right in and let's start off by talking about where we're at with the second stimulus check and stimulus package. So Senate Republicans have decided the way to get a deal at this point is to focus pressure on Speaker Pelosi. The claim is that last week's vote on the Senate skinny bill was intended to put the House on the defensive, basically showing the public, hey, we're working on something, but Democrats are blocking it. All but one Republican senator voted for the skinny bill, and 0 Democratic senators did. The assumption on the Republican side is that there is a group of moderate House Democrats who want to get a bill passed as soon as possible, and they're getting a little bit stir-crazy. Republicans think if they let these House members stew just a little bit longer, they will put pressure on Pelosi to get back to the negotiation table and get something passed. Remember, there were over 100 House members who signed a letter hoping for a solution to enhanced unemployment, despite Pelosi aiming for one big comprehensive package. Remember, they wanted to vote on that the same weekend that they voted on the post office bill, but that was turned down by Pelosi because she felt that that wouldn't help their negotiations on the comprehensive package. Where we're currently at, the lowest offer Democrats have made is $2.2 trillion for a comprehensive bill, where the highest offer Republicans have made is Mnuchin's hint that $1.5 trillion isn't completely out of the question. So what can we expect here? Republicans are kind of flipping the script, and here's why. Democrats are in a position where if they pass a bill before the election, this might help Trump win the election. However, if they wait until after the elections, there may be no additional bill at all because Republicans will have a less incentive to pass something. And we can look at this in two ways. We can either look at it and say the Democrats are under pressure to get a deal done as soon as possible, otherwise they risk no deal at all. Or we can look at it like the Republicans risk the chance of losing the elections if they don't pass a deal right now. The interesting thing is, both sides seem to think that they hold the upper hand here. And this is a bad place to be in, at least for the Americans who are suffering right now. It's like Democrats and Republicans are sitting at the Texas Hold'em table, both holding a 2 and a 7 offsuit in their hand, but bluffing and still just betting all in on it. Both sides have obvious weaknesses in their negotiations, but they seem to be blind to it, or at least really good actors and pretend like it's not a factor. Pelosi does seem to think a deal will be met. She's saying she's completely optimistic that we'll find an agreement, where McConnell, on the other hand, doesn't sing such a happy tune. McConnell said on Friday he wishes he could get another package, but it doesn't look that good right now. But it is important to remember McConnell isn't the key negotiator here. He will be the one to bring a vote to the Senate floor, but Treasury Secretary Mnuchin is responsible for negotiations on the Republican side. So let's check in to see where he's at on this. Here's a quote from Secretary Mnuchin from just this morning. He said, "Now is not the time to worry about shrinking the deficit or shrinking the Fed balance sheet. I think both the monetary policy working with fiscal policy and what we were able to get done in an unprecedented way with Congress is the reason the economy is doing better." So this quote is right in line with Fed Chairman Jerome Powell, who says that we need to go big when it comes to a stimulus bill. And this comment from Mnuchin matters because he is the one in direct contact with the president and key Republicans, making recommendations and suggestions as to what they should do. Also, and this is just something that I noticed, but it seems Mnuchin is very level-headed and has the respect of both Democrats and Republicans, which seems to be pretty rare these days. I could be wrong, but everything I've personally seen from him is very professional and forthright. I mean, I've watched several of his multi-hour-long testimonies, and he seems to do a great job working with both Democrats and Republicans, and I feel this is the exact kind of level-headedness we need in this kind of negotiations right now. If Mnuchin could convince the president and top Republicans that a $1.8 to $2 trillion bill is a good idea, I think we would see a bill passed very quickly. Moving on from here, we have an update with the president's payroll tax holiday. Representative Kevin Brady in the House introduced a bill that would forgive the deferred taxes under President Trump's executive order. This bill would do away with the employee side 6.2% Social Security tax from September 1st through December 31st this year. A major concern with this kind of payroll tax holiday is its effect on Social Security and the lack of funding Social Security would ultimately receive. And to address this, the bill outlines that any money that would have gone to Social Security through wages would be replaced via a deposit from the general fund. The estimate is that this would cost $137 billion. Now, this solution to funding still has critics who say this isn't a reasonable way to fund Social Security and it would do nothing for those who are out of work. This tax holiday would effectively work as a small stimulus on every single paycheck. The program would give the average worker an additional $135 on average each paycheck from September 1st to December 31st. So the total stimulus in that time comes out to about $1,100 in that 4-month period. Again, for the average U.S. worker. To figure out how much you would save on each check, just take your wage times the hours you worked and multiply that by 0.062, and that's how much you would save. The best news is that this bill would apply to all workers, not just those who are currently having their taxes deferred. And this is important because most private business owners are choosing not to use this program, myself included. I asked my employees what they would prefer, and there was a unanimous agreement to keep taxes as they are now to avoid that higher tax later. And then take this on top of the other complications of the deferral program, where it causes many accounting issues for the business and may result in situations where a business could be liable for an ex-employee's unpaid taxes. There's a lot of side effects here. If the tax holiday bill reaches the floor, it will be a tough bill to get passed, though. And this is due to the lack of support in the past for any payroll tax holiday. So what are your thoughts on this bill? Is it a good idea, or do you think we should just scrap the payroll tax holiday idea altogether? Maybe just do stimulus checks instead? I know a lot of people are against it, so I have an idea of where everyone's going to lean, but I'm still curious to hear individual thoughts on this. And then moving on from here, let's do some finance news to give an ending to the story we talked about 2 weeks ago, the sale of TikTok. Last time we talked about this, the favored buyers for the social media app was the strange pairing of Walmart and Microsoft. But this deal actually fell through, and in its place, a deal was struck with Oracle. Now, this is a little bit different than Oracle's typical business of providing software to other businesses and governments, but they are a tech company nevertheless, and they plan to use this to help boost their cloud services business by being able to say, hey, we host our massive app with 100 million users on our platform. Why don't you let us host your app as well? This purchase still requires regulatory approval from the US government, but it's looking like it will go through relatively quickly. So this is all we have for today's update. Check out the link in my description for Webull, where you can receive a free stock valued between $12 up to $1,400 when you deposit $100 into your account. And until next time, I'd like to thank you for watching, and I hope you have a profitable day.